Hi, stolen cousins. We're making progress. Our community is coming together. We got cousins on cousins on cousins. I'm getting excited, y'all. Either way, um, this is just more or less of, to make me happy and to, I don't know, just give more people a community to be free and just be positive. I don't really want to see nothing negative, nobody negative in the comments, nothing like that, so it's all just positive energy over here. That's why we're a family. That's why we're a stolen family, because you stolen and now you got to be nice. Ain't no choice. So let's get right into it. Some horror animations. I believe the one I picked out today is True Roommate Horror, if I'm not mistaken. SSG Animations, our people, the people that we will be watching with. So let's get right into it. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe what day you're watching this. Are you watching it on the day that it's being posted? Or are you watching it on another day? What time are you watching it? Are you watching it at the 12:30 uh, Eastern time that it be posted? Or are you watching it at another time? Where are you from watching this video? It's just a few things you can comment. It's up to you. I ain't making you do nothing. Yep, three true roommate horror stories animated. Like the video, because duh. And let's get into it. I can't wait when I get my intro.
It has been 10 years, but the memories of this occurrence remain fresh. In the first year of college, I had a roommate whose name was Jack. He was on a scholarship. He was brilliant, but extremely shy. He hardly talks. Whenever I tried to talk to him, he never spoke up. After a few weeks together, we got to know each other better. He told me a single mom raised him. She later died of a drug overdose when he was 12.
That Jack's talking to?
He was adopted by an older man who had just lost his family to an accident, and he told me all the man ever did was stare at cars and fix them all day. The man died a few weeks before he came to college. He loved planting, but most of his crops died before they even matured. He always seems to think he is full of bad luck. He was severely bullied in high school and was often called names. Unfortunately, Damon, who attended the same high school with him and was one of his bullies, was also in college with us and also stayed in the same dorm. Damon had a roommate too, Fred. They were typical bad boys. Jack tried his best to avoid Damon, but he couldn't. When Damon found out Jack was in college with him, he started spreading rumors about how his mother died and how poor he was in high school. People started calling him names and teasing him. It was high school all over.
This is college. You can get your ass beat in college. And Jack, if you just start minking people up, mink, 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 mink. Ugh. I hope Jack's not the killer, y'all. I really hope Jack's not the killer, because he don't deserve to be the killer. He's already getting bullied and stuff. People don't think about the consequences of their actions. You bullied this man all through high school. College is supposed to be your escape from that. And now you go to college and you're getting bullied in college too? Ugh, I'd be sick if I was Jack. But I'm also, I'd be sick if I was Jack. I was about to, go to my family and stuff, but if I was Jack and his situation, his family passed, so rest in pieces, Jack's family, and hopefully this story makes a turn, because this is already hoping that Jack, beat somebody ass, because, like, what do you do? This is college. We are grown. Not grown, but, college is at least, like, 17 if you graduated early, through at least, like, 22, good 4 years span, And then after that, it's if you wanted to do something else. Man, this is crazy.
People started calling him names and teasing him. It was high school all over again for him. He would wake up early to take his bath to avoid coming across anyone. Of course, I would intervene from time to time and threaten to file a complaint if they didn't stop. One time, Jack was in the bathroom when Damon and Fred decided to tease him. They took his towels and clothes and told him to walk back naked to his room. I had to call the dorm supervisor, who came to his rescue. Damon and Fred had gone out to party with their girlfriends one night. Unfortunately, on their way back, they had an accident and no one survived.
Now, if that's just natural causes, then I'll say they had it coming, Nobody deserves to die, but if you're going to be a dickhead all of your life, obviously bad things are going to happen to you.
Unfortunately, on their way back, they had an accident and no one survived. It was a very tragic incident. The police started investigating the accident.
Hopefully it was natural
causes. They realized someone had tampered with the car's brakes. It was later discovered that Fred fought with Mike at the party. Mike was a senior. He was very popular and well known for his naughty behaviors. The police arrested Mike for questioning, and the school expelled him immediately because he was already on probation. Everyone had forgotten what happened, and we moved on. Up until one night, I woke up suddenly, and everywhere was dark. It came as a shock to me because Jack never sleeps with the light off. I called out his name, but there was no response. I stood up to get the light when I had a spine-tingling feeling as if someone was behind me.
Oh, hell no,
I immediately switched on the light, and to my surprise, he was sitting at the edge of his bed. "Were you just behind me, Jack?" I asked. "No," he answered coldly. "Why aren't you sleeping, and why was the light off?" He didn't respond. Instead, he laid down and slept. I was a little scared.
Jack,
he mumbled some words, but I couldn't hear him, so I decided to go back to sleep. I closed my eyes for 2 seconds, and Jack switched off the lights again. I quickly switched it back on and told him I needed the light. That night, I didn't sleep much, so I decided to write a complaint letter to the school the following day. I wrote about how I thought he needed help. That was the first time he acted weird. I would often catch him talking to himself, hiding things, and one time I saw him cackling. His face was pale as if he hadn't eaten or drank. After I wrote the letter, I decided to return to the dorm early to go through his stuff. I skipped my last class and headed to the dorm.
Going through his stuff?
Luckily for me, Jack wasn't at the dorm yet. I started going through his stuff.
He gonna catch you.
Then I saw a chronicle and decided to go through it. I stood there frozen, going through the horrible things written in Jack's chronicle. He wrote about how he plotted Mike and Fred's fight. He had sent a threatening message to Mike pretending to be Fred. Mike went to confront Fred at the party, and that was how the fight started. He also wrote about how he tampered with the brakes of Fred's car, knowing fully well that Damon would be in the car too. I was engrossed in what I was reading and didn't hear Jack come in.
That's what you get for being nosy.
So I turned around. My heart skipped a beat when I realized Jack was behind me. Before I could say anything, he hit me with an iron, and I
Damn, Jack!
When I regained consciousness, I couldn't see much. It was dark and my hands were tied. Jack had locked me in the trunk of his car. I was shouting for help and struggling. It was getting hard to breathe.
You're just hyperventilating.
Myself why Jack would do such a thing. It was getting harder and harder to breathe. I kept banging on the car, hoping that someone would hear me. Jack had asked the dorm security for a shovel. He gave it to him, but he was suspicious.
Why?
When Jack got to his car, he opened his trunk, and before I could scream or say anything further, he hit me in the head with the shovel, closed the trunk, and drove off.
Jack!
Thankfully, security had followed Jack quietly, and he saw everything. He reported what he saw to the police.
Okay, good.
The police alerted every officer on patrol, and they tracked Jack's car. They found the car empty and began to search for me and Jack in the surrounding environment when one officer raised a notice that he had found 2 of my lost bloody teeth in the trunk and they needed to act fast. They screened and searched the vicinity where he was caught trying to bury me. They searched his late adopted father's garden, and by the time they found me, I was half buried by Jack, who was laughing during the whole incident.
Oh my God.
I was rushed to the hospital, and he was arrested. Jack was sentenced to life imprisonment. He started his sentence in a mental health facility and was transferred to prison after his treatment was complete. I also saw a therapist for a while because I couldn't get over the fact that Jack had tried to bury me alive.
Alive.
My therapist told me I needed to talk to Jack, so I visited him at the mental asylum.
That's the
He
dumbest
didn't answer
thing
any
ever.
of my questions. Instead, he was smiling like a maniac and repeatedly said, "You had to go." When I returned to college, Jack had gotten numerous nicknames. Jack the Psycho Killer, Jack the Human Planter, Jack the Horror Fetish, and Jack the Roommate Who Lost It. These were the few I heard of. These names reminded me of the incident all over again, and I had to ask to leave the room we both stayed in. During school, people would cluster around me, hoping to hear what I had to say. I dismissed them and told them the rumors and names they called him were what messed with him in the first place.
Exactly.
I repeatedly visited the therapist for a while.
Clap it up for dude, because, right, he got knocked out twice, lost 2 teeth, got buried alive. Basically, the grave was filling up, and still did not come out of this situation, go back to college and be like, yeah, Jack was weird from day one. You see, people are still calling him names, and he didn't jump on that bandwagon to be like, yeah, Jack is weird as shit. Yeah, he is the roommate that went crazy. No, he's like, he went crazy because y'all people kept fucking with him. Clap it up for dude, because he's real. He's real as fuck. He almost died from being nosy. You know, that's his own fault. But neither here nor there. You know, he almost died. And he still did not come out of the situation a terrible person. These people bullied this man throughout high school. And obviously, this does not mean if you're bullied, you have a right to, try to kill people or hurt people. This does not mean that at all. But it's just like, I personally understand where people come from that have been bullied so much, and then they decide to retaliate and lash out. I don't believe that harming other people and doing wrong is the right thing to do, but I obviously understand where it's coming from. Every action, everything that you do on this earth has a reaction. No matter what you do, something else will happen after you do something. You do something, something else is going to happen. Whatever you do, there will be a reaction. Those 2 boys bullied him throughout high school. Just as easy as they had people hop on the bandwagon in college, they had the people hop on the bandwagon in high school. So they did this. He finally got to college thinking this was going to be his escape. Nope, there go them bitch ass niggas again. I'm doing the same thing. You guys are in college, drinking, alcoholics. Even if they wasn't that drunk, you're out here bullying people. Why would you want to see somebody that you've been bullying through high school anyway? You don't think they're going to retaliate? It is college. You can get your ass beat in college. Ugh. Don't be a bully, guys. You never know what is going to happen. You can get that ass beat. You can pass away from somebody tampering with your car. Worse, someone can beat up your mama, your grandmama. People love their grandmas. How would you feel you're a bully? Someone beat the shit out your grandma. You know what I mean? So just think about your actions. Because a person like me gonna beat the shit out your grandma. proud of dude. He almost died. And he did not come out that situation like, yeah, Jack is wild. He got out that situation like, I almost died because of y'all. Me and Jack was cool people. So we wasn't like the bestest friends, but we was alright. You know, I was nosy reading shit that I wasn't supposed to. But if y'all wasn't doing that, then he would never kill nobody. So snap it up for dude. I already clapped for him, but snap it up. My snaps are louder.
Were what messed with him in the first place. I repeated rumors and me, hoping to hear what I had to say. I dismissed them and told them the rumors and names they called him were what messed with him in the first place. I repeatedly visited the therapist for a while because I couldn't get over the fact that Jack had tried to bury me alive, and I could have been the manure for his garden because he loved to plant and couldn't see another of his newly planted crops die, so I had to go.
That's crazy. That was a good story, y'all.
My first roommate experience happened in college. I had never lived with anyone before, as I was an only child, so I was really excited to see how living with someone else was going to be. My father owned a large apartment that was close to my college campus, and he allowed me to stay there throughout my first college semester. After I got settled, I started carrying out interviews for potential roommates. I probably went over 100 candidates till I met him. His name was Jason Gunner, and he was perfect. During the interview, I noticed that he was very polite and well-mannered. He also had an amazing aura around him. When I was finally done with the interview, I knew without a doubt that Jason was the perfect person to be my roommate. But there was still a little something that bothered me. So I normally ran a background check on everyone I interviewed, as it was one of the most important things to do when looking for a roommate.
Exactly.
But when I tried to run a background check on Jason Gunner, the results came back scanty as there was little to no information about him. I asked him about this, and he said that he mostly lived a low-profile life, which is why there wasn't much of his background on the internet. I knew it was a pretty hasty decision, but I took his word for it, and I told myself that maybe having little to no information on you out there was a good thing. So after a while, all the arrangements were settled, and it didn't take long before Jason started moving in. Things went perfectly at first, as the first few months were wonderful. I loved living with Jason, as he usually made pancakes for both of us in the mornings, and he also helped in doing most of the chores around the apartment. During this time, I realized that I made the right decision because Jason was a delight to live with. But all that joy and perfection abruptly stopped when I brought home my then boyfriend, Harvey Lance. I had met Harvey on campus 2 months after I started the semester. He too was one of the sweetest guys I had met, and things were going really great between us.
He too.
I remember the first time I introduced them to each other, and I remember seeing Jason with a frown on his face. That was really odd to me, as Jason was usually a happy guy, and I hardly ever saw him frown, but as the evening went on, I could tell that he really did not like Harvey. Now, there was no reason for Jason not to like Harvey, as I was present during all their interactions, and I was sure that nothing rude or out of the ordinary happened. I eventually came to the conclusion that Jason was just a little jealous. But as more time passed, I realized that what I thought was just petty jealousy was actually real hatred. It didn't take long before Harvey noticed that Jason didn't like him, and a massive tension began to form between them. Things got really weird from there, as Jason started to act really strange. He started to incessantly follow us around on dates and any time we went out. I didn't notice much of this at first, but Harvey did.
Of
and
course
when he told me about it, I thought he was just over-exaggerating as I told him that it probably wasn't Jason and he was just seeing things, but he stuck to his story as he adamantly kept saying that he was sure we were being followed by my roommate.
Girl,
when I got home, I confronted Jason with these claims, but he always denied them, saying, Harvey is just delusional and he would say anything to get me out of your apartment and your life. Things started to get heated from there, as anytime I was at home, Jason incessantly told me to leave Harvey as he was certain that Harvey was nothing but bad news. And the same thing was happening at school, as anytime I was out with Harvey, he always told me to kick Jason out of my apartment, as he was sure that there was something really wrong with him.
But like, who
I
are you
always
gonna
told
leave,
Harvey
though?
that I couldn't do that as Jason had already signed a year-long lease, and when I was home, I always told Jason that I really liked Harvey and that I wasn't going to leave him. I thought that settled things, but everything just escalated from there. Things weren't going really great at home, as the nice Jason I once knew was no more. He was now constantly rude to me, and he always locked himself in his room every time I was in the apartment. Things weren't also going too great at school either, as Harvey was too annoyed that I still hadn't kicked him out. It took a while, but I eventually couldn't take it anymore. I was in my first year of college, and these two people were just bringing additional tension into my life.
Exactly.
I didn't have the time to deal with it anymore, so I decided to even out the equation by taking them both out of my life.
Good shit.
I decided
Chris.
to start with Jason, as I planned to pay him back the rent money with interest and tell him to leave as soon as possible. But when I got home, I could hear people shouting through my door. From the hallway, I could hear Jason and Harvey throwing words at each other, as I heard
What they
Jason
move up in
say,
the house for?
"I tried my best to make sure everything was perfect between us, but you just had to come in and ruin everything." Harvey then replied, "I never did anything to you, man, and you are delusional.
This is
There
the
was no
funniest
us.
thing.
You're just
Period.
a creepy and obsessive roommate who followed us around on our dates. Can't you get it into your head that you're just roommates and nothing more?" That's when I heard Jason scream, "She belongs to me and no one else. She just doesn't know it yet, and I'm gonna do anything to make sure nothing comes between us, even
What the hell
you."
of work?
I had heard enough at this point as I walked in and said, "That's it, Jason. You're a totally different person now, and to be honest, it's frightening, so I need you to leave." I then watched as Jason calmly said, "I'm not going anywhere, my sweet Elizabeth. We're meant to be together, forever." His eyes looked malicious as he said those words, and I started to get scared. Harvey, who was still in the room, then said, "What the hell is wrong with you, man? Didn't you just hear what she said? You need to leave now before I make you leave."
Period.
That's when Jason, who now had a crazed look in his eye,
Beat
lunged
the shit
at
out of Harvey. Yeah.
They fought viciously for a while before Harvey
Oh.
managed to knock Jason off his feet. Jason
Oh.
fell to the floor.
Oh.
Harvey turned to me and said, "You need to call the cops now, Elizabeth. This guy is crazy." I started to look for my phone, but before I could find it, Harvey, who noticed this, decided to come help me. But as he started to walk towards me, I
Jason.
watched in horror as Jason, in a fit of rage, angrily pushed Harvey. Harvey tripped and fell head first into a glass center table.
Oh.
The impact was hard as the glass broke, and I noticed Harvey wasn't moving anymore. It
Oh.
took me a while before it finally dawned on me,
You kill Harvey?
but I knew without a doubt that Harvey was dead. It was
Damn.
an accident, as I knew Jason didn't mean to kill him, but
He
he
meant
was
to
still
kill
the
him.
one who pushed him. I managed to find my phone as I called 911.
Oh,
But as I
now
dialed
you
the
managed
number,
to find your phone.
Jason immediately took the phone away from me. So I screamed, "What are you doing, you psycho? We need to call the cops." Jason, who now had a look of terror in his eyes, said, "No, you can't do that. I can't go back to jail again." I could feel the tears running down my cheek as I said, "So what do you want us to do, Jason? Harvey's dead. I know you didn't mean to, and it was an accident, but
He meant to
we
kill
still have to
him.
call the cops." Jason then said, "They won't believe me. They never do." He then walked up to me and hugged me, and I messed up
Ew.
attempt to comfort me as he calmly whispered in my ear, "Besides, even if it was an accident, a part of me had to do this. I am willing to do anything to keep you with me, my sweet Elizabeth."
He meant to do
His
it.
words sent shivers down my spine as I finally realized that Jason was living in some sick fantasy and that he was truly insane. I then pushed him off me as I backed away. I couldn't recognize him anymore, as Jason now looked like a truly different person.
That's what happens when you
After I had pushed him away, Jason
Do a
then looked at me and said,
half-ass background
"We
check.
have to be together, Elizabeth. I know what we should do. Let's run away. Let's go far away and keep on living together."
Who's
Jason had a
us?
sick grin on his face as he said those words. So I knew I had to protect myself. I tried to run into my bedroom and lock myself in there, but he was faster as he caught up with me. He
Ew.
started pulling me towards the door as I screamed, but that's when we started to hear sirens.
Look at 12.
Relieved, I realized that my call must have gone through and I was saved. It didn't take long before the cops surrounded the building. I then told Jason to give up and open the door, but he didn't listen as he looked me dead in the eyes and said, "If I can't live with you, I don't want to live at all." I then watched in horror as he jumped out the window to
Oh!
his gruesome death. 2 deaths happened that day on the campus, and I was the only survivor. I told the cops everything that happened, and an investigation was carried out.
Crazy!
Harvey's parents were heartbroken as they blamed me for it.
I see,
I didn't
they
complain,
should.
as I knew Harvey meeting Jason was all my fault. I also met with Jason's father, who had heard what happened to his son. He was a nice man who apparently wanted to meet me and apologize. Shocked, I wondered what he wanted to apologize for, and when we met, he told me that Jason had suffered from a peculiar form of OCPD, an obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, since he was a kid. He said this disorder made him obsess over certain people, especially women, as he saw them as things he owned. He then said to me that Jason was a good boy who tried to suppress and fight the thoughts by being a nice person, but they always got the best of him, and it led to numerous incidents of him lashing out. This in turn led him to getting charged with numerous cases of assault and battery. I then asked why those cases didn't come up when I did a background check, and he said Jason was trying to turn a new leaf, so he recently changed his last name from Lance to Gunner, as that was his mother's last name. The revelations were shocking to me, and when the case was finally over, I left college for a while as I decided to take a deferred year or two to get help over the trauma I experienced. I have never, and I will never forget what happened to me that day. That experience opened my eyes as I realized firsthand that you can never really know someone, even the ones who live with you.
You didn't do a good background check on him. You ain't know him to begin with, girl.
Hi guys, my name is Ketty. I'm 31 now.
Ketty?
Hi guys, my name is Ketty. I'm 31 now. I got a very good job in another city 5 years ago, and I shifted to that city.
That's good.
There, I met a girl named Sarah. She was 1 year younger than me. She was very talented and pretty as well. I was completely new to that city, but she had been living in that city for 3 or 4 years. She used to work in my office. She offered me her apartment and said that she lived alone. Earlier, a girl lived with her, and that girl had moved to another city. That's why she said that I could stay with her as a roommate. We both used to have a lot of fun together. We both became very good friends. And when we got leave from the office, we used to go out also. She had a boyfriend. His name was Harris. She had gone to meet him, and it was too late for her to come. But after coming from there, her mood changed completely. She was looking very worried. What happened? You okay? Oh, nothing is fine. My boyfriend cheated on me. He's going to marry some other girl. He said that we both cannot get married. I tried to explain to him a lot, but he is not agreeing at all. I don't want to see his face at all. His promises were false. I consoled her. You shouldn't cry after a guy who doesn't understand you. It's better to stay away from people like that. Don't cry, please. It's not your fault. She was very depressed and worried, and obviously she would be because of the wrong that was done to her. I explained to her a lot, but she was crying a lot. It took her many days to recover. I motivated her a lot. Then she got well after 20 to 25 days. I was happy because she was smiling. She was healing. She left the office saying that her younger sister is going to visit her, so she will be late. I heard the door knocking. I opened the door.
Who beat you up, Sarah?
She was injured on her head. Hey, what happened? She didn't respond. Why so late? Are you hungry?
Who beat you up, Sarah?
She didn't give me any reply. She moved to the room. She looked tired and changed.
She tried to go get that man back and his wife beat that ass.
She had neither her phone nor her purse with her. I was worried.
You got robbed, Sarah?
When I woke up in the morning the next day, I heard some sound from the kitchen. And when I went towards the kitchen, I saw that Sarah was cooking breakfast for both of us.
And the same clothes from last night?
But she had said that she is a vegetarian and she does not eat all that. But I ignored it. When I asked her about her purse and phone, she said it was stolen on the way. We both went to the office after breakfast, and we had a great day at the office.
You got a twin
we both
sister,
took a cab
Sarah,
to our
she
room.
took your life?
She was doing strange things in the cab. She was staring outside the cab window and talking very weird things. What if I jump out of a moving cab? What? Are you kidding? Right? How is it possible? Then she jumped out of that cab.
No way.
Gee, I was numb. Seriously? I screamed and asked the driver to stop the cab.
Keep going.
Cab driver was also scared, and he ran away. It was good that the distance of our apartment from there was very short. I was crying. Sarah, you okay? She didn't reply, and she was behaving as if nothing had happened to her. I was shocked, but I was happy she was okay. I thought she was all right, but she was still in shock.
Girl,
she was
wasn't in no
cheated in
damn
love.
shock.
That's why she was probably not able to forget that sorrow. Next day, I bought a movie ticket to refresh her mood. We went to see that movie, and we had a good day there. Sarah was in the bathroom, and I was sitting in the hall watching TV. I do not like horror movies much because I get scared every time. When I was watching TV, I wasn't able to change the channel. But again and again, the same show was appearing on TV. My TV was showing me a horror movie repeatedly. The same thing was repeated over and over again on TV. In that scene, it was shown that a boy kills a girl and throws her into a ditch. I was slamming the TV remote. What the hell? And suddenly the TV was off automatically. I could hear some strange sound coming from behind the TV. As soon as I turned my eyes, I saw a woman who looked terrible and horrifying, whose face was completely disfigured and eyes were completely red. She was looking at me, and slowly she was moving towards me. I screamed,
Oh, no.
"Ah! Sarah, help!" It grabbed my throat very tightly and started to choke me. I tried very hard to call Sarah, but she didn't listen to me at all.
Fight.
At that time, I was suffering like a fish. It threw me towards the TV so hard that I fell on top of the TV. After a while, I fainted.
What did she do?
When I came back to consciousness, I found a small chip behind the TV. When I checked that chip, I saw that there were some nude videos and pictures of Sarah and her boyfriend. After a few hours, I got a call from the police station. We have found the body of a girl. We suspect that this dead body belonged to Sarah. But I was completely stunned. How is it possible? Sarah was living with me in my apartment for so long. Suddenly, Sarah came in front of me.
Oh, no.
Kitty?
Nothing. I'll be back, okay? And I rushed to the police station. I was very scared that day, and I was praying all the way that this is not my friend Sarah. It happened just as I feared. That corpse was of Sarah, and the one who was with me for so long was none other than Sarah's soul. I gave that video recording to the police. Due to fear, I was numb. I never returned to the room. I went to the office to find out and checked the CCTV footage there and found out that Sarah never came with me to the office for 27 days. I was talking to myself. Everything is visible from the photo of the CCTV camera. I found that cab driver and asked about that night. I was blown away after hearing what he said. "Ma'am, you don't know who you were talking to that day? I felt that some spirit had entered inside you, and when you made the cab stop, I got very afraid. That's why I left you there that day. I'm sorry, ma'am. You were the only one in the cab that day."
When who made the
After a
cab
few days,
stop?
I went to the movie theater and found out that I went to see the movie alone that day. I could see her spirit everywhere. She wanted peace. That's why I put a lot of emphasis on the police to solve this case quickly, and fortunately, this case got resolved soon. It was later revealed that Sarah had several video recordings of her and her boyfriend, and she was blackmailing her boyfriend with the help of that video recording. She wanted her boyfriend to come back into her life, but one day her boyfriend lured her into a trap and lured her to meet him near her old ditch. Harris begged her to delete those videos. When she denied and didn't agree, He angrily choked her and threw her down in the ditch. That was the reason that same scene was repeating on the TV again and again. Sarah wanted me to know the truth, but I couldn't. I really feel very bad for Sarah. Harris was also arrested, in charge of the murder.
That's crazy. That last one, I can say that the storytelling, could have been a little bit better, but it was still crazy because we knew it. I knew it. I said that she went to that man. I thought his wife put the hands on her, but, even worse. He killed her. Crazy. But I enjoyed those three. I hope you enjoyed them too. Join me next time. So sorry. Had a long day at work. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed the videos. Thank you for watching them with me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with someone else who likes little creepy stuff. I don't think this one was that bad. It was just like, more suspense. So this was definitely like, a little suspense. Have a great day. I love you. Bye.